I believe this is the first actual pocket-sized drone from DJI. So I have it here in my pocket, so the only thing I need to do, because I can fly this without a controller, is to take it out, take off the gimbal cover, and see, start the drone right there. Press hold the button here,
Medium.
and it will start tracking.
3, 2, 1.
So check it out, this is the brand new DJI Neo. This is DJI's first self-tracking AI drone. So with this you can track yourself without using a controller, kind of similar to the Hover Air X1. But with this you can also fly manually using virtual joysticks on your phone when you connect to the DJI Fly app, or you can use the controller, the new DJI RCN3 controller. And you can also fly this in FPV mode. How crazy is that? Now, when it comes to the drone itself, it's also classified as a C0 drone, so it's basically a toy with a camera, and it only weighs 135 grams, and it kind of makes the Mini 4 Pro feel heavy now, which is crazy. And I think this is lightweight, but this, oh man, this is light. So I've been dying to test this out, but the problem is that there's so much wind where I live, and this is only 135 grams with 2-inch propellers, and that with high wind speeds, you know, it's probably not the best idea. But I couldn't wait, so we went on a short walk to see how this managed to keep up with the high wind speeds of up to 15 meters a second. And I mean, you can see it struggles, it really struggles, and that's because it has a level 4 wind resistance, which is up to 8 meters a second, and I was out here flying in almost twice of what this is capable of, but the footage came out surprisingly stable, even though this was all over the place. Now, when it comes to videos on this, we have 4K 30 FPS and 1080p 30, 50 and 60 FPS with a max bitrate of 75 megabits per second. And the color profile is normal, which is looking pretty good, but of course I would have loved to see something like the Cinelike or D-Log M, just to, you know, because I want to add my extra grade to the footage. But I mean, this is not going to be that full out cinematic drone that you would get for video shoots, for example. This is more of that hands-free, self-tracking travel drone that just happens to have some amazing capabilities. And we also have a half-inch sensor with a fixed aperture of f2.8, which is equivalent to 14 millimeters. Now, when it comes to range, which is a huge thing nowadays, because everyone wants to fly as long as possible and as far as possible, obviously, we do have OcuSync 4.0, which will give you 10 kilometers in FCC and 6 kilometers in CE mode, and approximately 30 to 40 meters when flying this using Wi-Fi and a smartphone. One thing I do like with this is the wide field of view. So with my Mini 4 Pro, for example, I had an 82-degree field of view, but this is even wider at 117.6 degrees field of view. So I'm able to capture wider shots out of the box without using a wide-angle lens, which is fantastic. Now, there's also 12 megapixel photos on this, and you have the option to take single photos or timed photos. So if you want to take a timed selfie where you don't want the controller to be in the frame, for example, you can just set up a timed shot and then quickly just hide the controller, and you'll be able to get some pretty decent looking photos coming from this drone. But another thing that you will notice immediately when you pick this up is that there is no micro SD card slot on this. So this does only have 22 gigabytes of internal storage, which means you'll be getting about 42 minutes in 4K 30 and about 1 hour of video in 1080p 60 60 FPS and about 1.5 hours in 1080p 30 FPS-ish. The good thing though is that you can easily dump these files to your computer, so you can either plug this into your computer with or without the battery, so you actually don't have to have the battery inserted, and you can just drag the files over to a separate folder, or you can use the quick transfer and transfer everything over to your smartphone, which has an increase in Wi-Fi speed as well now, so it goes a little bit faster than the previous DJI Mini models, which is fantastic. And once everything is dumped, you can format the SD card and you can head out again, and you'll be able to get another 42 minutes of 4K video. So I'm going to Hawaii in a couple of weeks, so it's going to be interesting to test this out and see how convenient this is to use to transfer the files and how the workflow is going to be. So make sure to stay tuned for the pros and cons with this DJI Neo as well by hitting that subscribe and a like button. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss that video. Now, one of the benefits with a drone like this is of course going to be the self-tracking, and that you can fly without using a remote controller. You can basically fly hands-free like this, just do all the quick shots and follow mode and all that, or you can use your smartphone, which you always have with you anyway. So on top of the drone here, we have 6 different icons and 1 button, and these icons represents the following quick shots like follow, droney, rocket, circle, spotlight, and we also have a custom icon here where you can set this to be either helix, boomerang, or direction track. So if we turn on the drone here and then open the DJI Fly app, you will be able to connect to the drone using Wi-Fi, and when it's connected, you also have this live feed coming from the drone here, so you'll able to see everything that the drone sees as well, which is fantastic. And on the right side of this live feed, you also have these arrows which you use to tilt the camera up and down. And if I now tap on follow here, you can also see that I have all these different modes, and these are the same modes as you see on the drone itself, but you can actually activate these through the app as well, so you don't really have to tap on the drone. If you don't want to do that, you can also do it whilst the drone is in the air, so it's a little bit more convenient than, you know, taking the drone back to landing. Let's say you do 1 quick shots and you want to do another one, so instead of landing the drone and then press and select the next feature you want to use, you can actually just start it immediately using the smartphone, which is fantastic. But we also have manual control here, so if I now select the manual control, I'm able to fly this manually using these on-screen joysticks, which is pretty cool. And I can also change this from video to photo if I want to take a photo instead, and there's also a landing option here just in case I want to land it manually and I don't want to hand land. Now what's really cool is that you can also record audio now when you use the smartphone. So when I have the Neo connected using my smartphone, I can use the microphones on my phone to capture the audio, and what this will do is that the app will automatically merge the video and the audio together, and it will also eliminate the noise coming from the propellers on the drone, which is crazy. It's so nice, but it also will compensate some on quality because it will use some heavy noise reduction to make those propellers go away. So I wish there was an option for that. Hopefully that will come in the future. But you can also connect something like the DJI Mic 2 to your smartphone via Bluetooth, and then the audio will be captured on the Mic 2 and not the built-in microphones on your smartphone, which will sound a little bit better. So this is the audio coming from the DJI Mic 2 when it's connected to my smartphone here and merged together with the Neo or through the app. So how does the audio sound using the Mic 2? Let's go on and change over to without using a mic, just the internal microphones on the iPhone, and let's see if there is any differences in the audio quality. So I now change over to the microphone on my iPhone here. And how does this sound compared to the Mic 2? There is a huge difference here when it comes to how convenient it is to use the Mic 2 over a smartphone, because with this I actually have to hold the phone as a microphone. But with the Mic 2 I can just have it mounted here and it will record the audio, and I'm basically hands-free. Now, like I said, the audio quality might not be the best, but the fact that you have this option is still amazing. And with the firmware updates coming on the release day of this drone, you will also be able to use voice commands to wake up the drone, followed by a command like follow, drone, circle at 2 meters, and so on, which is going to be really interesting to test out. But I mean, you can just, if it's sitting there, you can say, hey, wake up, and then you can say follow, and it will automatically follow you, which means You don't even have to touch the drone in order to get some tracking shots, which is pretty crazy. Now, if you go back to the app here, we also have the option to change the settings for each of the modes, like how far away it should fly, if it should fly low, medium or high, and also the different camera settings like resolution, frame rate and format. So once you have everything set up and you change to all the settings you prefer to use, these will automatically be saved to the flight modes on your drone as well. So the next time you're out flying, you can just select either of the modes on the Neo and press hold on the button right here to activate the flight, and the drone will take off and execute the quick shot that you selected. Now, when it comes to flying this, whether this is manual flying, FPV flying, tracking, or using quick shots, it's also important to know that this does not have any obstacle avoidance sensors. So there's only position sensors, which is on the bottom of the drone here, and those are for takeoff and landing using your hand. So when you use quick shots, tracking, or do manual flying, it's really important to be aware of the surroundings to maintain a safe flight. And a good tip here is to always check out the location where you want to fly. Maybe you travel to a new location you've never been before, so by checking out the area first, you'll get a better idea of how far and high you can fly, and if there's any obstacles around you like cables, buildings, or other objects you might need to pay attention to. This will not only make your flight experience better, but it will also keep your drone safe and prevent any accidents. Now, we also have the option to fly the Neo with the DJI RCN3 controller here. So this comes with the Fly More combo here, and with this you're also going to get a charge hub and 2 extra batteries. So let's talk a little bit about the charge hub here. So what this is DJI's first ever charging hub to charge all the batteries simultaneously. So no longer in sequence. This is fantastic. And what I did is a test here in the studio. So I did this battery from 0 to 100% and it took about 42 minutes. So that alone sounds like a long time, but I mean 42 minutes to charge 3 batteries at the same time is like having one battery charged from 0 to 100 in 14 minutes, which is pretty good. But for charging all the batteries, it's also good to know that you would need a high power source if you want to charge them all simultaneously. So 45 watts or higher will allow you to charge all the batteries simultaneously. So if you go from 45 down to something like 30 watts, you're going to be able to charge 2 batteries, and the lower power source you use, the fewer batteries will be charged at the same time. I also did another test here in the studio so you can hear the sound differences between these drones here. So we have the Mini 4 Pro, the Avata 2 and the Neo, just to give you an idea of what these sounds like on takeoff. Now, when it comes to battery life, this is also crucial. When you buy a drone, you want to have as much battery life as possible. So this has a stated battery life of 17 minutes with the prop guards here. But you can actually remove these prop guards. These are removable prop guards, just in case you damage them, you can easily replace them. And without the prop guards, you'll be able to get about 18 minutes according to DJI. But when it comes to actual battery life and how much you're gonna get, it all comes down to, you know, how you fly, where you fly, the wind speed, distance, altitude, and all of that. So I've been getting about 13 minutes on average so far, which is pretty decent for its size. Going back to the RC controller here, and the reason why you mainly want to use this when you fly the Neo, unless you want to do some tracking shots of course, is that you get more options in terms of settings. So when you have this connected connected to the RC controller, you can change things like gain and expo if you want to tweak the sensibility of the sticks, for example, so also the speeds for each of the different modes like Cine, normal and sports mode, which you have on the controller here. And you can also lower the sharpness and noise reduction in order to make your footage look better. So that is the main reason alone that you would prefer to use the RC controller and not your smartphone. On top of that, you can also change this to manual settings now. So if you want to lock the white balance, for example, or adjust the shutter speed, maybe lower the ISO, you will be able to do all of those things if you connect your phone and use the RC3 controller with the DJI Neo. Now, another awesome thing with this drone, which I think makes it appeal to more people and a wider audience, is that you can actually fly FPV with this, and you can fly FPV in normal, sports, and manual mode. So you basically have an all-in-one drone, which, you know, is the biggest advantage with the DJI Neo. And the flying experience is just like the Avata 2, but of course it's going to be a little bit slower, and you might experience more turbulence compared to when you fly the Avata, and that's because this is only 135 grams. But if you're looking for a beginner drone and maybe a beginner FPV drone, this might be the perfect drone for you because it has everything that you can possibly fly with a drone. So it has that self-tracking feature, which you basically tap a button and it will do everything for you. And you can also control it using your smartphone, which means that you don't really have to buy the RC3 controller because you can do all the manual flying through your phone as well. And you can also use the RC3 controller if you want, you know, more settings to choose between, and also get a better looking image, because you can lower things like sharpness, which will make the footage look more natural. And you can also fly FPV, so you can basically choose whatever you want to fly, and for, you know, such a cheap price, which this is compared to buying, you know, the Mini 4 Pro and the Avata 2 separately. So yeah, that's a huge advantage with the DJI Neo. Now, when it comes to safety, we also have return to home, just like we have with any other DJI drone, which is fantastic. And the way that this works is that when the drone is low on battery, it will automatically kick in and the drone will fly back to its takeoff position and land. So this is a fantastic safety feature, which I've been using a lot, and it doesn't really have to be when it's low on battery. You can just tap return to home whenever you want, and it will automatically come back to where you took off. And as I mentioned earlier, we also have these prop guards, which is removable, and this just adds that extra safety when you're gonna hand launch and hand land the drone. But when it comes to high winds, this is only 135 grams, so it's pretty, you know, it's an easy catch for the wind. Up until now, it has not been an issue, and it haven't been even close to flipping over, even in 15 to 16 meters a second. So it's a pretty solid drone in that area when it comes to flying in high winds. But I would be, you know, a little bit more careful with this compared to something like the Mini 4 Pro. So if you're looking for a drone, just a standard drone you want to capture high quality video with, and you don't really mind that FPV, and you also live in a pretty windy location, then I would probably consider the DJI Mini 4 Pro over something like the DJI Neo. But all in all, I think this is a fantastic beginner drone. Or it doesn't really have to be a beginner drone. I mean, I see a lot of use cases for this in my own life. When I'm out hiking and traveling, for example, I can just bring the drone, have it follow me for, you know, a minute, 30 seconds, something like that, and then do this in different locations, and boom, I have a travel sequence that would have taken so much longer to pull off with the Mini 4 Pro, where I need to turn on the controller, wait for the connection to the drone and the controller, and then I have to get it up in the air. I have to select myself, maybe you don't want to track me, we all know how that goes, and then I have to make sure that I press record. And you know, by the time everything is up and running, I would be able to capture probably 2-3 minutes of videos, or like 4 or 5 quick shots with this drone, which is fantastic. So it's not that super cinematic drone that will replace my Mini 4 Pro, but rather an additional companion that will make it easier to capture more videos than I otherwise wouldn't be able to capture, because of the time it takes to set up everything and also wait for a GPS lock. So let's see how fast we can get the DJI Neo up into the air and have it track me. And I believe this is the first actual pocket-sized drone from DJI. So I have it here in my pocket. So the only thing I need to do, because I can fly this without a controller, is to take it out, take off the gimbal cover, and see, start the drone right there. And it should be set to follow mode already. And what I need to do is to just hold the button here,
Medium.
and it will start tracking.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. And when you're done with the tracking, the only thing you have to do is basically just turn around, face the drone, and the drone will hover in place. And just take your hand, reach out, and it should land. So I can definitely see myself using this just as much when I'm out traveling, just because it's more convenient to use, and it's also faster, especially when I do hikes or just want to capture some videos on the go. Even if the video quality is not as good as the Mini 4 Pro, for example, it's still going to be more than enough to capture your family moments or short form content for social media. I mean, just look at how fast I was able to capture this tracking shot. So if you're looking to get your first ever travel drone, this might just be the drone to get. And even if you already have a bigger drone, maybe the Air 3 or the Mavic 3 Classic, this would just be a great addition for those times you want to capture some aerial shots, but you just don't feel like pulling out the big guns because there might be some people nearby. Maybe your wife is all mad because you spend more time on setting this up trying to get the shot when you're out on a hike. You know, this would definitely make things easier. So there you have the brand new DJI Neo. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Like I said, I can't wait to take this on my next trip and test it out and give you my pros and cons of using this as a travel drone. So make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on that video. So that's going to be everything for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.